Today we'll be taking a look at a watch from Australian microbrand Second Hour in the Mandala Mk3. This is a 40mm sports watch that is well spec'd, well designed, a lot to like about it. Let's take a quick look and then we'll get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Just a Watch. My name's Dave, and as always, I am recording this from my home in Miyota, Japan. Today I have in for review the Mandala Mk3 from Second Hour Watches. I reviewed an earlier version, I think it was the Mark 1 a few years back, so we'll see how it has evolved a bit since then. Second Hour Watches is a micro brand, and so like most micro brands, it's headed up by a very small team. In this case, husband and wife duo, Peter and Akira. Peter and Akira have released a number of watches up to this point. Second Hour has been in business since 2019, so they have a couple of hits under their belt. They've started to establish themselves with a bit of a reputation and a certain design language and an approach to watchmaking. Second Hour produces a lot of high-quality watches with distinct designs at reasonable prices. They've always been sort of in that mid-range price range. Coming in at $600, the Mandala Mk3 fits in that pretty well, I think. So this is not what I would call a budget watch, but the specifications and the level of quality in the design and the manufacturing is above what you would typically find in the budget category. And we'll see all that as we get into the review. This watch was given to me by Second Hour, which is why you saw the paid promotions flag at the beginning of this video. However, Second Hour didn't have any control over the content of this video, nor did they really say much at all about it. They just kind of sent it over and asked that I give an honest review, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. Let's jump in and check it out. At its core, the Mandala is a sports watch. So this is in the tradition of something like the Aqua Terra. So it's a watch that is highly water resistant, but also very elegant. And these are very versatile watches. What Second Hour brings to this category is an extremely distinctive and daring design, a very high quality build, and a surprisingly reasonable price point for everything that they're offering. The Mandala has great dimensions with a 40mm case and 20mm lugs, so this is a watch that will wear on pretty much any wrist size. But what really sets it apart is the impressive thinness at only 10.5mm tall, and a great case and bracelet that not only looks beautiful, but also perfectly conforms to the wrist. The material used here is hardened stainless steel, which is going to make it resistant to both scratches and corrosion. You pair that up with the sapphire crystal, and you have a very durable watch. Now, when you first look at this watch, the thing that's going to grab your attention is that really interesting guilloché dial. But for me, after wearing the watch for a while, the thing that I started to really appreciate was the excellent case design. It has a very slim profile with a beautiful curve running from lug to lug that gives it a great conformity to the wrist. I like that they chose to go with crown guards that flow naturally out of the case, and overall the finishing is really well done. The case is primarily finished with fine brushing, but you're getting polished accents along the edges. And sitting atop the case is a smooth two-step polished bezel. And these elements really make the watch look great. It really captures the light beautifully, it sparkles and reflects in different angles, and overall it's one of the best case designs that I've seen coming from a micro brand. It really reminds me a lot of what Christopher Ward does with their light catcher cases. But at $600 on a bracelet, this is coming in at a much lower price point. And that included bracelet is another excellent piece to this watch. This is a very high quality 5-link bracelet, which like the watch head features excellent finishing with an alternating brushing and polished pattern that again plays with the light beautifully. Likewise, the clasp of the bracelet also matches the quality of everything else on offer here. It feels solid, it operates smoothly, it's beautifully finished, and it includes a tool-free micro adjust system. And like I mentioned before, it feels great on the wrist. This has everything that I want out of a great watch bracelet. One last technical feature we'll look at before moving on to the design of the watch is the lume. This is a sports watch, so you do want to see something that has decent lume that will allow you to read the watch in the dark. And thankfully, Second Hour did not drop the ball here. This is very good lume for a sports watch. It features a very pleasant ice blue glow that is strong and long-lasting. It scored a 10 on my lume test, which is good for a dive watch and excellent for a sports watch like this. So when I consider the quality of this watch, the level of finishing, the quality of the components that are used in the manufacturing, this feels like a watch that should cost more than $1,000. Now, one of the ways they're able to deliver this at a lower price point is the choice of movement that they've gone with. This features the Miyota 9015, which, don't get me wrong, is an excellent Japanese watch movement. It's one of my favorite movements out there. But if you move up to the $1,000 price point, you're typically going to find Swiss movements. However, performance-wise, the Miyota 9015 functions just as well as most entry-level Swiss movements. It's a very accurate movement, it's extremely slim, and it features a very smooth sweeping second hand that ticks 8 times a second. And because it compares so favorably to more expensive Swiss movements at such a low price point, I really love this movement. I don't think there's ever been a case where I've had a watch and I've thought, gee, I wish I could have paid a couple $100 more to upgrade to a Swiss movement. I've always been completely happy with Miyota 9000 series movements. So I think in terms of quality on offer, Second Hour is giving you something great in the Mandala. This ability to offer such high quality watches at this price point is what makes microbrands so appealing. But that in and of itself is not going to make this a great watch. We haven't talked about design yet, and that's the area where microbrand watches can kind of be all over the place. A great microbrand watch has to not only offer excellent quality, but also be able to pair a beautiful design with it. And the design of the Mandala is where things get interesting. The name of the watch gives us a clue as to where Peter got his inspiration for the design. Mandala comes from the Sanskrit word for circle, and it refers to a geometric configuration of symbols. They're often associated with Buddhist or Hindu iconography, and they can be incredibly intricate and mesmerizing. Now, Peter has mentioned before that he has an interest in geometry, and this often shows up in the designs of watches from Second Hour. And when we look at the dial of this watch in particular, I think we can see a lot of inspiration from these mandalas that are found in Asian cultures. The most obvious would be in the guilloché dial that has this swirling, mesmerizing geometric pattern. The dial appears to be embossed with this pattern. There is a bit of depth to it. It's not just a flat, stenciled on pattern. And it features a traditional guilloché pattern that's found on a lot of watches. I'm looking at the yellow version that has a very vibrant yellow dial. This is a very bold color, but I think it works really well with this guilloché pattern. And this yellow dial is contrasted with a broad black chapter ring that surrounds the guilloché. And Peter has done something very unique with the markers of this watch. It's common to see the 12, 3, 6, and 9 markers emphasized on a watch dial. This has the effect of dividing the watch face into quadrants, but what Peter has done here and what he has done on most of his other watches from Second Hour is that he has instead emphasized the 12, 4, and 8 markers on the dial. So you can see that those markers are not only oversized, but they're also pushing into that chapter ring, which does a lot to draw your eyes to the center of the dial and to that guilloché pattern. It also serves to divide the dial into thirds instead of fourths. It's a really cool and unusual touch that I really appreciate in his watches. The handset is also unique in that rather than handsets drawing to a point, they have a tooth tip to them. And I also appreciate the crown that is both signed and knurled. It's very easy to use. I think it looks cool in this design. I think it looks great nestled into those crown guards. So this is a watch that definitely has its own personality and character rather than it being a straight homage or copy of other more established watches. I think in particular with the yellow color, it does run the risk a bit of being too daring, and there are some tamer color options out there, but I think overall the design of this does a really good job of sort of walking that line between being something that is both appealing and distinct. For me personally, when I look at the design of this watch, I feel like it has some science fiction vibes going on. It kind of reminds me a lot of Stargate. If you've seen the movie or TV series, you probably know what I'm talking about, but the way that those large oversized markers kind of push into that outside chapter ring, and then you have that swirling pattern in the middle. Maybe an aventurine dial on the watch would push it even further in that direction, but I'm getting a little bit distracted here. Overall, I really enjoyed the watch, and I've been very impressed with both the quality and the design. The quality especially really is seen in every aspect of the watch. The dial not only is interesting, but each of the individual components are very sharply cut out and manufactured. Again, it just has the look and feel of a much more expensive watch, while also having a very unique and interesting design. So yeah, I think for a lot of people, the big question is going to be whether or not this design actually speaks to you. It is, again, a distinct design. It's something that's out of the ordinary and, maybe doesn't have the mass appeal of something simpler like an Omega Aqua Terra or a Rolex Explorer. And that's a good thing. I think that micro brands need to be distinct for them to have some kind of an appeal. There are plenty of great options when it comes to high quality, simple looking classic sports watches. So when it comes to micro brands offering these kinds of watches, I want to see something different. I think Second Hour definitely did that. And again, for me, I think that this is a good, appealing design that will appeal to certain people. So the big question is, are you the kind of person this would appeal to? How do you feel about the design? Drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. And if you're interested in getting a watch themed t-shirt like this one right here, you can pick it up on my website at justthewatch.com. That will wrap it up for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.